Good morning. I somehow or another deleted my first video, so this is the second shot at it, but it's still morning, 10:36 here, 11:36 up there. Let's start all over again. Trump is out there trying to undermine the election because, in his view, if he doesn't win, then election's a fraud. Now, if that's the case, why does he even bother having an election? Let's just give him the presidency because obviously he can't lose. He did this. He has this problem, and I first realized it with his attitude towards Obama, when he couldn't believe a black man was more popular than he was. He couldn't believe that. He thinks when he walks into the room that all eyes are on him. Nah, everybody sniffs the air to smell because they want to know what that odor is, but that's about it. I've never liked the man, so I guess I'm very, very biased in this situation, but at least I admit to it. But I don't understand that. If you don't think you can win an honest election, you shouldn't even bother running. There's something wrong there. It's the purpose of the election, is to see if you can win it. And if you don't win it, it's a fraud. If you win it, I'm going to get scared. All right. The second thing I had this morning is that Texas hospitals are now asking you if you're in the U.S. legally. It doesn't go into great detail that if you're in an emergency case, exactly what will be done if you're not here legally. And defined legally, because as far as I know, you don't need I don't know if you need a passport to go into Mexico. I know you need a passport to go into Canada. I'm not sure about Mexico. But all those workers that come across the border, if you're a day late getting back across the border, you're here illegally, you can't go to the hospital if you're bleeding, That's a humanitarian bullshit. That's what that is. I don't know what to say. All right, this is where I ended up deleting my, because I was trying to find something out, my last movie. But this is in New York State. This squirrel's been in this guy's house for, I think they said 7 years. I'm not sure if that's exactly right. But a little squirrel named Peanut. He was an internet giant, and he was seized by 6 federal agents from our state agency, I think it was. But that's listen, guys, you don't send that. You don't react like that when drug dealers are around. You knock on the door. Excuse me. They busted in his house, seized the squirrel. Now the raccoon's another story. That he had a raccoon named Fred too, and they took that. And I'm not so sure. He owns a animal rescue facility, and he had determined that Peanut was not able to go back out and survive on his own. So he kept Peanut, and thousands of people on X and Instagram and TikTok and everything knew this squirrel, except me. I didn't know the squirrel, but I don't follow that stuff anyhow. No, those, not that stuff. The websites that are involved there. But how do you come up to bring 6 agents, state agents from I'm going to say. Something like Fish and Game or something like that. I doubt if they were from the state police department or anything like that. That would be absolutely overkill. But you never know, these assholes do shit like that. And all that boils down to is you can have one person make 6 phone calls, or one person has a situation where they're unhappy with the publicity the squirrel's getting, and you can have people crawling all over your house, and that's wrong. Do you know what it takes to get somebody to raid a drug house? The time you have to spend in court and everything to get the permission to do that. That's, I find that's kind of stuff is like really, I don't know, I think it's just stupid, You spend time and money. I don't know how much money those guys had to get paid. And now they're saying that he can't find out if the squirrel's alive or dead. I just think that's terrible, and I think that those agents should, I'm not going to go into that because that's just what I'm thinking right now is not nice. Okay, it's really, really not nice. I don't condone that action. I think it's horrible. I think there should have been another way of doing it, but apparently they chose to raid the guy's house. 7 years. You knew the squirrel didn't have rabies. It was an indoor squirrel. It wasn't an outdoor squirrel because it couldn't go out and survive anymore. That's, Oh, well, what are you going to do? There are some really, really pathetic people in this world, and people that come up and want, say stuff like that and to go out and they complained about him. They complained because the squirrel was being a squirrel. He wasn't hurting anybody. He didn't bite anybody. He didn't do anything. If it had been my squirrel, they would have had to shoot me. But that's just me. I'm an animal fanatic. I love animals. I don't want to see any animal die. I don't want to see any animal hurt. I don't think there's a reason for that. That you can give me a legitimate reason. I think trophy hunters should be. I don't want to go there right now because I'll get all kinds of hate mail if somebody sees that. But I do. I think trophy hunters should be hunted. Now whether you shoot them or you just catch them and drag them back. Put them in a cage and leave them there for a year or something like that. And not a jail cell, a cage. No beds, no nothing, Maybe a tree to swing from, but that's about it. Okay. Now, some people are really stepping up and saying things, like I said at the start of the top of the day, that Trump is going around creating the impression that his victory is certain, that anything else is fraud. And he's constantly lying. That makes him even more dangerous because how do you think that the people he's talking to overseas and whatnot believe anything this man says now? America's losing all kinds of credibility in the world, and he doesn't care. All he wants is money. He believes that money can control everything. And right now he's $2 billion in debt, and if he loses the election, I want to be a bill collector. I want to go after that son of a bitch. All right. The Puerto Rican and other Latin American stars now are coming out about this Puerto Rican joke made at a Trump rally. So you can't control those guys, all right? That's the thing about comedians, They shouldn't. You don't control them. He should have known the possibility existed something like this could happen, and he should have gone and talked to him. And said, just keep the ethnic jokes to a minimum. You want to go sexy, fine, but keep the ethnic jokes to a minimum. Now, then Trump sat down with another whack job, Tucker Carlson. It's like Hannity. These guys are just absolutely ridiculous. They make money with hate news and personal persecution, stuff like that. So what can I tell you? Anyhow, Trump sits down with him, and I don't know how this came up in the conversation. But Trump says of Liz Cheney, You know who Liz Cheney is, okay? She's actually a Republican that's now supporting Kamala Harris. She's a lifelong Republican that just can't deal with Trump, and that's the way it goes. You know, Trump's a scumbag. I don't know how anybody deals with him. But anyhow, he goes around and says, let's put her out there with a rifle in her hand and 9 barrels pointing at her and see how she does. He is saying that Liz Cheney should be fired on. Now, that kind of bullshit creates serious problems. That kind of shit, that kind of talk, we have violence, you know? Trump isn't waiting till January 6th to start preaching a lot of violence, or till after he loses the election. Trump's preaching violence before he wins the election. I guarantee you that there's going to be violence on next Tuesday, and I guarantee you that if the violence isn't quelled, that by January 6th we could be facing a civil war. No matter who wins. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's stupid. People are turning to violence more than into anything else, and that, I don't know whether that has a lot to do with the lack of education of various factions, or their desire to be in control. You know, I don't know. I mean, I saw some of those guys dressed up, you know, with the headdresses and everything else, heading into the Capitol building, and I think some of those guys went in there just for publicity purposes, you know. I don't think they went in there for what really bad purposes, but it ended up being for really bad purposes, you know. It's like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know whether she is stupid, crazy, or what, but she has stuff she says that's just not right. Okay, I'm talking about it's coming off as a little bit crazy, you know, and sometimes a lot crazy, and sometimes it's just so stupid I don't believe anybody listens to her. And that's her desire to be something important, you know. It's like now you've got RFK is thinking that he's actually going to be, you know, the man. And Elon Musk knows he's the man whether he wins or loses, because he's the richest man in the world. And let's not get into how he made his money, okay? Because that's not a pleasant conversation. RFK Jr. is just somehow or another, I think when he was young he got dropped on his head. Okay? He just doesn't, he has an intellectual way of expressing his point of views, and I disagree with a lot of them, and science disagrees with a lot of them, but that doesn't seem to faze him. You know, he's not willing to discuss it in a rational manner. He's one of these people that he's right and you're wrong, and that's the end of it. Well, if you want to live your life that way, that's fine. You want to live your life that way, that's fine. Don't try to influence my life, all right? Because I disagree with you. That's the way I live my life. You can do whatever you want, just don't get me involved in this, you know, conversation that I don't want to be part of, all right? But to sit there, like, you know, Trump is constantly saying what he's going to do, and it's all about violence. Trump is you talk about grudges. Trump has had a grudge against the NFL since I guess the 70s, when they wouldn't let him join in. You know, and he had to take a USFL team, and then they wouldn't let him come in in the merger. They wouldn't let him be part of the Generals organization to come in. You know, so he had another one of his bankruptcies. Of course, he has that's the thing that people don't understand. You know, they say, the running back, I can't remember, from Georgia that played for the Generals and then is now running for Senate in Georgia and whatnot. And people are saying, Trump's been pretty good to that guy. He signed that running back to a personal services contract for life. Okay? That means that he pays the guy it's just, look it up. I haven't got time to go into it. It's ridiculous. But that's what he did. So I don't believe anything that comes out of that guy's mouth. It's basically a slave contract, you know. But that's Donald Trump. You know, he doesn't care about anybody. He loved the Apprentice because he got to fire everybody. Now, if he did that in the real world, nobody'd ever come to work for him. You know, and the people that come to work for him make money, but they're not overly paid, you know, or anything like that. Or, you know, they're lucky, right? Some of them are going to be lucky. Even the hotel workers and whatnot, they're going to be lucky if they get paid after this election if he loses, or if he wins. He's not going to. He's $2 billion in debt, and he's not paying the bills of his campaign. That's a story for another day. All right, it's Friday. Everybody have a great weekend. Well, I'll see you tomorrow anyhow.